I think you should probably hire sooner rather than later, but you gotta know what is it that you need from them. What are the tasks that I'm doing or that my team is doing that really it would be very easy for somebody else to do. The results could be better or it would be more efficient, whatever. I think you should take those tasks very early on and outsource them.
Welcome back to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm really excited today. My guest today is Stapho Thienpont. Stapho, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. It's super warm and sunny, and we've been trying to book this for a while, and I'm just happy to see your face. It's a great face, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Where are you located right now, or where are you?
I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria, but originally I'm from Belgium.
Awesome. So for those of you that don't know, Stapho used to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu full-time. He lived in a gym, he slept on the mats, and he traveled around the world to fight. Then he wanted to stop beating up his friends all the time in training, so it was time to level up. He moved back into his mom's basement and learned everything there was to know about social media content, LinkedIn automation, networking, and lead generation. Now his agency gets people 5 qualified sales calls per week, turns CEOs, founders into LinkedIn thought leaders that get hundreds of followers, thousands of leads, and hundreds of thousands of views per month. I'm really excited to talk about all of that. But first, I want to take a gigantic step back. What were you like growing up as a kid? Were you a straight A student? Were you a rebel? Obviously, you got into jiu-jitsu, but did you have any idea that you were going to be an entrepreneur?
No, I was just basically a nerd. My parents, and I didn't have so many friends because my parents split up, and I would like live at my dad's place during part of the week, and then my mom's place the other part. So I wouldn't really have so much of a social circle. But I was always very interested in like watching like Dragon Ball Z and like all sorts of fighting stuff. I'd love to watch that, and I loved like figuring stuff out, like maybe like a little bit of video games or some random stuff I found in the book. Like I was always obsessed with like looking at something and figuring out how to like break it down into its core components.
I love it. So you talk about being a fighter. Like what was that lifestyle like? I think I can't imagine, and I'm sure other people couldn't. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the lifestyle part of it, that's a good question. So you can imagine it like this, like you wake up and you're definitely not rested because you're always tired. Then you have to train at, let's say, 9 a.m. the first time. You're like fighting pretty much half of that time. You're wrestling your friends, and they're all like international competitors. Then after training, you have like 15 minutes to catch your breath, and then you gotta have some physical training after that. So maybe weightlifting, gymnastics, cardio, all this stuff you really don't want to do. Then by the time it's 4 p.m., you're gonna do your pre-training training. So you're gonna find somebody and do some techniques that your body's hurting. Then you do the actual training, the second real session of the day. Half of that you're fighting again. It's like super painful. Everything's hurting. Then you probably feel guilty if you don't do another session. So you'll probably do the second session of the day. And then after that, you might do some more drills. So you practice technique, and then you do that like 5 days a week. No, actually 6 days a week. And you're just continuously in pain. But you just learn to not listen to those signals. When you really cross the boundary, you'll know, and you'll take a little bit of gas off the pedal. But apart from that, you just learn how to push through the uncomfortableness of doing stuff you don't necessarily want to do at the moment to achieve the goal that you do want to achieve eventually.
And I believe that sports and business go hand in hand. I mean, I wasn't a fighter, but I did wrestle for years. I played baseball, and there's elements of team and hard work and getting over failure. I mean, all that stuff applies to business too. Would you agree?
Well, 100%. And wrestling and jiu-jitsu, it's very similar. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Like, so you know exactly what it's about if you've wrestled.
Right, exactly. Spent a lot of time on the mat. So talk to me, you're in your mom's basement. Why do you pick marketing, and how do you even begin to learn all there is to know?
So it's a really, really good question. So first of all, why marketing was, in the beginning, was important for me that it would be location independent. And the second thing was I wanted to do something that plays with my natural strengths. And my natural strengths are psychology and understanding people, as well as building systems. And I felt like marketing was just like the perfect mix of like system building and understand and psychology together. So that was why I picked marketing. How I got started was basically like this. I figured, look, there's good books out there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read a book, then I'm gonna break down what I learned from those books and post about it online. And I made like a little Facebook group, and I would read a book and then share what I've learned, and read a book and share what I've learned. And just automatically, people started to believe that I was really good at marketing. And I was like, yo, you guys know I'm just like taking this from these books, but just the fact that I was reading and synthesizing the stuff, it started to bring inbound leads to me. Like people wanted to work with me. And so I took a little project here and I took a little project there. And then I got into like a really close-knit secret society almost of like people who was really, really good at LinkedIn. And I just started learning from them. And that's how I started to specialize in LinkedIn content and LinkedIn lead generation. But it's really been just like, okay, the marketing seems interesting to me. Let me just read and read and read and read and practice and practice and practice. And then just roll with the punches and see how I can use this to get better and better and better, and to also turn it into some kind of a company, turn it into the agency that I have now.
I love it. So talk to me about year one of growing your agency. What did that look like? Was it you? Did you have a business partner? Who was your first hire? How did that come to be?
Oh, actually, very interesting. So I did the marketing for like a year and a half before I started my agency, so more like freelancing and whatever. And then me and my co-founder, Sonny, from this company, the marketing family, we started this company together. So we actually moved from Belgium to Sofia to start the company because taxes in Belgium are ridiculous. so we moved. And also the cost of living for an entrepreneur there, if you don't have funding, it's very difficult. So we moved to Sofia to start. We randomly met this girl, and she was like, hey, I want to work for you guys. And we're like, okay, sure, you can work for us. But it turned out to not be a great hire because, well, I don't think we vetted her on the right qualities. Like she had some mental issues that made it hard for her to like get up on time, to stay focused, to just do the day to day. It was very, very difficult for her. And we had to let her go right when we hired our second guy, who's been a great win. Like the second guy we hired was phenomenal. He still works for us. The main thing we learned from that situation is like, okay, I still don't really care about the resume so much, but you gotta not just take anybody that comes at you. You know, like even though we were like a tiny agency, we should have still been like, okay, what is it that we actually need from somebody? What is the mindset that we need from them? What is like the level of alertness and the level of insight and proactiveness that we need? And then try to figure out during the interview, like, is this person a good fit in that way? That's the biggest lesson that we've learned, because we figured like, okay, most of this LinkedIn stuff, we basically invented it ourselves. So we're not going to hire somebody that knows how to do this stuff. It just doesn't really exist. So then we started to learn like, okay, but even if we got to teach them the skills, which is actually quite easy to teach somebody skills, still we got to have some other stuff be present for them to be a good fit with us.
Interesting. So can you talk about the structure of your agency right now? I know there's a lot of different ways people set up an agency. Some people have other people interacting with clients, other people, the owner's the only one interacting. I know you use in-house and freelancers. You're a client of FreeUp. How are you structuring everything?
So we're always working on improving our mix and structuring it better and better. But the basic premise is this, like, the stuff that needs to happen all the time are constant costs and our constant labor. So maintaining automation, for example, we always got to do that. For that, we have people in-house working full-time. So we're 4 people working full-time. But then the stuff that has more variability to it, let's say content creation, editing video, which is what we use FreeUp for, social media managers, those kind of people that we just like, you just need them for this many hours per project. Those people we have externally, and those are our freelancers that we use. And the reason we do this is because we want to be able to predict how much money we're going to be making. But we also, when we lose a client or something, we don't want to have this person working for us and we don't have the work for them, or maybe we don't have to pay them. I mean, we don't have to keep somebody we don't need, because it's frustrating for them, it's frustrating for us. So that's why we just have our core people in-house. And then the people that we just need per project, those are all freelancers. That's how we've structured it so far.
So you've got this business that's location independent. How are you managing? How are you communicating with all these people among different projects, different clients?
So my original goal was to be location independent, but actually we're not really location dependent at the moment. So we have our office here in Sofia that me and my co-founder, we work in the office, and the Urbane guys, they will come here sometimes, especially for meetings and stuff, but most of the time they'll be somewhere else. We do all our communication, both with our clients and with our team members. We do everything in Slack, and then we use Notion and Trello for project management. So, and then we make a really big point of whatever we do, of being sure that we can turn it into some sort of a dashboard, so that even if there's 10, 20 people working on a project, then we can just look at the dashboards and be like, these are the numbers, what needs to change? And then we'll just, okay, so it's the outreach that needs to change. So that's the outreach guy is gonna talk to the outreach team and fix it. So the communication is on Slack, but getting insight into what everybody's doing, that's all like Google Sheets and Databox, which is great, or Shield Analytics.
Love it. What other tips do you have about hiring and running an agency with real people?
I think you should probably hire sooner rather than later, but you got to know what is it that you need from them, and you don't have to fall into the trap of thinking like, oh, I can't hire somebody full time, or I don't have enough work for somebody full time, or whatever, can't afford it. You should really look, okay, what are the tasks that I'm doing or that my team is doing that really it would be very easy for somebody else to do. The results could be better, or it would be more efficient, whatever. I think you should take those tasks very early on and outsource them to people on FreeUp, for example. Yeah, that would be my tip, is to do it sooner rather than later.
I love it. I want to talk to you about LinkedIn. I mean, I post on LinkedIn. I get hundreds, sometimes thousands of views. I'm definitely not getting millions. What is the key to LinkedIn? What can you share some strategies that work for you and work for the clients?
Yeah, so the key, so for me, the key is whatever you're doing, measure it. So that's the first thing, because if you're not measuring it and you don't know, are we actually improving or not, it's going to be frustrating. You're going to just think with your ego, and it's not necessarily going to serve your business goals. So if you're doing content on a personal profile, I would use a tool called Shield Analytics that I use a lot. Databox for measuring LinkedIn company pages, and for outreach, you just got to use the CRM, and that's very important. Just measuring what you're doing and the results that you're creating. Now, that's the first part, but then the second part is you got to have a specific goal. I was talking actually yesterday, kind of like a discovery call, and I asked him, okay, so you're talking to me, so clearly you want to up your LinkedIn game, but why do you want to up your LinkedIn game? And he was like, you know what? We want to increase our following. And I'm like, okay, but why are you trying to increase your following? Because if you just want numbers, you can buy some followers on on like Fiverr or something. Like you can buy those followers. I'm like, what is it that you actually want? And then they're like, oh, actually we're first to market, and we want to position ourselves before our competitors start positioning themselves. Because if you get to be first now, then in the future they'll just be seen as a ripoff. I'm like, okay, now you're talking. So now we can make a strategy to accomplish that goal, but you just set a clear goal. But then just to be a little bit more technical, so I'm not just like spitting all this vague stuff, is what you got to do is you got to be connecting to your ideal customers or your ideal target audience, the people that either should buy from you or that should see your content one way or another. You should be connecting with those people at scale, like at least 20 to 50 people a day. You got to be connected with them, because when you post, they're going to be the ones that see it. So you got to post content that is specifically adjusted to your ideal audience and to your ideal customer profile, and you write about stuff that you know about and that they care about. Then you got to do something to make sure that content actually gets seen. So you make a little group within your company, within your friends group, with your peers, to all like and comment on each other's posts, so that you can get more reach. And since you already have the right people in your audience, it is going to be driving your business if the copy is correct. And then at the same time, you're not just connecting with these people in your ideal target audience, but you should also be talking to them by liking their stuff, commenting on their stuff, but also messaging them. Because ultimately, you're probably trying to drive sales. So what you got to do is you got to talk to these people, make sure that they're qualified, give them value, and then ask them to come on a discovery call or similar. And I think those are really some of the main points. This is just like make sure that you're reaching out to the people in your ideal target audience, right? Create content that they care about, make sure that there's engagement on that content, and then just make sure to really build those relationships and get people away from just LinkedIn onto a sales call, onto a discovery call, into your email funnel, download your ebook, whatever. But don't just stay on LinkedIn, and don't forget your goal, which is whatever it is that you've set your goal as, but just don't lose track of it, because as soon as you start posting and you start understanding how to get the engagement, you're going to get a little bit addicted to getting those likes, getting those views, getting those followers. But it's so easy to be like spending 8 hours a day on it and getting literally zero ROI or revenue from it. So always stay close to the goal. That would be my advice.
I love it. Any other overall marketing advice or advice for people that are growing their own agency?
Yeah, my advice would be this. Like all of that stuff they teach you at business school, doing market analysis, figuring out your persona, looking at your competitors, just do it. Like because it's very easy to be like, no, bro. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hustle 24/7. I'm going to watch Gary Vaynerchuk all day. I love Gary Vee, so don't get me wrong. I'm just going to watch Gary Vee, and I'm going to comment on a million things, and I'm going to do all these things. You should probably do those things. They're great tactics. But start with your basic marketing framework. Sit down, do the strategic work, understand your customer, understand your competitors, understand your product, and start from there. And don't just be like, okay, I'm going to do YouTube now, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to do this now. That's all good, but don't start there. Start with strategic work.
I love it. This has been great. Where can people find out more about you, and what are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
Well, they can just reach out to me on my LinkedIn profile or in my Facebook group, The Marketing Family. Currently, our website is not online, but it will be in a few weeks. So then in the future, you can reach out to me there too, or you can email me at stapho@themarketingfamily.com. What I'm most excited about is I'm really passionate about creating systems, and I'm just passionate about making the systems that are used internally to generate leads for our clients, to make those better every single month, and then maybe release a course about it. Or at the very least, I just want to improve my clients' results. That's what I'm most passionate about at the moment.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for coming on. This was great. Have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, you too. Nice meeting you, Nathan.